What's going on, hustlers? Back at you guys with another video. If you guys are new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Day Cantave. I'm 22 years old. I've done over $3.2 million in revenue with over 100 contracts selling products to the Department of Defense. I'm a certified flight instructor and commercial multi-engine pilot, and I am an ultra runner. So today's topic is going to be how to talk to contracting officers, and we're going to be discussing how to talk to them when you're answering a reval, which is a request for evaluation or traceability. We're going to be talking about how to talk to them whenever you want to explain to them that your offer is more attractive than any previous procurement or than your competitors. We're going to be talking about how to talk to them when you're negotiating with them, whether that be via email or over the phone, and how to talk to them after you've successfully delivered on a contract and you want to start to develop that relationship. You want them to keep you in the back of their mind, or really in the front of their mind, so that way you're the first person they call on during any procurement. Before we get into that, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on today's video, and comment down below if you guys have any feedbacks on how I can improve the videos. I always love tailoring these to suit you guys' needs. So without further ado, let's get into it. So a contracting officer, they're kind of the conduit between you and then the procurement that gets conducted, right? So they're going to be the person that's going to reach out to you for a request for evaluation, which just means they want to verify that what you're selling is actually what it is that you're selling. They're going to be the person that might reach out to you in the event that they want to negotiate with you. They're pretty much like a liaison between, you, the firm, and then the Defense Logistics Agency. So a lot of people think that the government is pretty much just this big entity, and they kind of neglect the fact that there's people on the other side of it. And when I say big entity, it is a big entity, but they don't really take into consideration that there's human beings working on the other side of this thing. So let's talk about first how to talk to them when you want to basically inform them that your offer is more competitive than other people. Let's just start the video off with how to print those dollars, right? How to increase the revenue. So there's a couple things that I like to do prior to me reaching out to them. I like to quantify everything. I'm a big proponent of the idea, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So what does that mean in this context? I like to tell them a couple things. I like to give them the lead time so they know how much quicker I'm going to be able to ship it to them as compared to what they're asking for in the contract. I like to give them the difference in price between my unit price and then the unit price on the last procurement. And then I like to give them the overall amount of money that they'll be saving. So I take the difference in the unit price as to why my offer is so much cheaper, and then I multiply that times the amount of units. So let's just say, for example, if I know that it's my unit price is $200 cheaper, right? The last procurement was $400, my offer is going to be $200, and it's 10 units. I would tell them, listen, I can offer these to you guys at a $200 discount, resulting in $2,000 of savings for the Defense Logistics Agency, and this material can be delivered within the next 90 days. And the lead time that you guys have on this solicitation is 180 days kind of thing. So I quantify how much better my offer is than the previous procurement and all of my competitors. So that's number one. That's how we want to let them know how much money they're going to save by doing business with us rather than the other guys. So let's talk about how to talk to them when you're negotiating, right? There's a couple basic principles for negotiation here. The first of which being, whoever speaks first loses.
And whoever speaks first loses.
And unfortunately, we're already starting with our back against the wall because we offer our price via the electronic quote submission form, so they already know what price we can offer the material at. Very, very rarely, it happens, but very rarely, sometimes they will reach out to you and ask you to bid on something and be within the parameters of a certain price. They will be like, hey, can you match this procurement kind of thing? They can't give you an exact number, but they'll be like, hey, can you be in the ballpark? Because if they give you an exact number, it's illegal and it's not fair and open competition. But for the most part, whenever you're negotiating with them, you're already starting with your back against the wall because you already offered your price. So you've spoken first, essentially, in this instance, so you've lost. However, there's two more principles of negotiation. So the second one being, if you're not willing to walk away, then you've lost, right? So if you're not willing to be like, listen, I can't go that low or else I will be in the red. Like if you're willing to take an L and be so far in the red that it doesn't make sense for you, and you're not willing to walk away from that, you're not in a good spot. So you want to have boundaries. And I'm all for sometimes paying the cost of business to learn how to do business with the government by, you know, making slightly less money or decreasing your profit margin. I'm all for that. But when you get to the point where you're so in the red and you're so desperate to win the contract that you're just bleeding money, it doesn't make sense. So you've got to be able to say, hey, listen, I can't go any lower than this. This is my best offer, and if you can't match this, I'm willing to walk away. That's number 2. Now, the third one, this is kind of a basic one, but a lot of people misconstrue this aspect of negotiation, is each man in the deal, and this is a proverb, each man in the deal has to feel like he is walking away with something positive. So what I mean by that is, don't squeeze the person that you're negotiating with because you know that their back is against the wall. Like, for instance, if it's a very highly rated contract, meaning that they need it to get expedited, it's a DX contract rather than a DO contract, and you know that they need it badly, don't squeeze them in an effort to make a bunch of profit, right? You want to offer them the material at a price point with which they'll feel happy to buy it from you they'll feel satisfied that their requirement is being met, and then also with which you will feel like, you know, you've made some profit. You want both of the parties involved to walk away feeling like it was a successful negotiation, and one of the big ways to do that is by not taking all the money that you can take. You got to leave some on the table for the other man so that way he feels positively about the interaction, and then you open the door, or rather you leave the door open for future negotiations. So that's negotiating with contracting officers. The second thing, and this is the third one actually, and this is my favorite, is we've got to know how to talk to people, right? So there's this really, really weird dynamic between human beings, right? Where everybody wants to talk about themselves. Everybody's very, very self-centered. Everybody's out for self. Everybody's like, how do I drum up business for myself, right? So when you go against the grain and you do something entirely opposite of that, then you start to develop really long-lasting, fulfilling, and rewarding relationships because you make it about the other person. So one of my key things is I always remember everybody's name, and I repeat it 3 times within the first 2 minutes of the conversation, because that's people's favorite thing to hear in the world is their own name. Shout out my dad for teaching me that. Number 2, I don't ask yes or no questions when I'm conversing with people. So if you're going up to somebody at a bar and you're like, hey, is that drink good? Yes. Like, that's not that, you're not opening the door for anything meaningful to come out of that. But if you ask, hey, what made you want to get that old fashioned? Now he's going to be like,
well, I had a great day at work today. I got a promotion. Oh, well, what do you do for work, right?
So don't ask people yes or no questions when you're trying to develop a relationship. Ask people open-ended questions, get them to talk, and then that gives you more ground to kind of deviate from whatever you were initially talking about, and then get to know the person as a human being, right? Which brings me to the next aspect of developing a relationship with contracting officers. People talk to contracting officers about business and contracts and finances all the time. These people are human beings. Talk to them about stuff that actually matters to them. Talk to them about stuff outside of business. I always tell this story. I won a contract because I remember that a contracting officer's daughter had a ballet recital, and then I asked him how it went. And then I won my very first contract by talking with a manufacturer or a representative from a manufacturer, and we're both Saints fans, and we were talking about football. So talk to them about stuff that they genuinely care about outside of government contracting and outside of business, because they talk to probably 100 people every day, and all these people only want something from them. They're just like, me, give me stuff, rather than hey, how do I pour into your cup? How do I have a fulfilling conversation with you? How do I learn stuff about you? So those are my tips on how to talk to contracting officers when you're presenting your offer, when you are negotiating, and then when you just want to build a healthy relationship with them. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if you found this video informative, if you found it inspirational, if it answered any questions that you had, or you were able to get something from it, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Not only am I looking forward to your success, I'm absolutely sure of it. Let's go print those dollars.